Hello, welcome back to The Reading Mama. My name is Heather, and I am going to share a really quick wrap up of my February reads and a very short March TBR. So, February was an off month. It was just like a lot of audiobooks, a lot of fiction, and a lot of, like, there were a few really greats and then a lot of just mediocre. Yeah. I'll start with my first, because that was awesome, was Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This is my first Sanderson book. I understand it is very different from his others, but I absolutely loved it. It was just delightful, funny, witty. It was a joy to read. I absolutely loved it. So I'm definitely going to try some more Sanderson in the future. But that was such a delight. I guess I should tell you about it. So in this, you're following a young girl named Tress who is stuck on an island, and the man she loves doesn't return from a voyage. There's a lot of other things going on. But she sets out to go and find him, to get off this island and find him. And you have all these interesting kind of different, I don't know how to explain it. They, like, instead of them being on the sea, they're spores that they sail on, and all of them are like dangerous, but you can manipulate them certain ways and utilize them. And she just becomes, like, she develops into a person. It's a very coming of age kind of story, and then just comical, very witty. It was very enjoyable, so I highly recommend it. I love this book list as it is an original fairy tale that will delight fans of William Goldman's The Princess Bride and Neil Gaiman's Stardust. I've seen both of those movies, but apparently I need to read those books because I loved them. Then I listened to the audiobook version of Allie Carter's Embassy Row books, which I'll pop up here, and they were mediocre. I was pre-reading them for my teen because she likes kind of mystery thriller kind of things. And somebody had recommended Allie Carter, so I started reading those, or listening to them rather, and the character was really annoying. A young girl is basically caught up into this big political rigmarole, and things happen, but you're hearing her side of it, obviously, and she's just an obnoxious person. And my oldest feels the same way, but you kind of just want to know what happens in the story, so you keep reading. And it ended well. The second book was very, like, I don't know if I'm going to keep reading this, but I went ahead and listened to the third book, and it had a better ending, kind of. I mean, it was one of those that's wrapped up really quick. So I think it's a great teen book. Not a lot of romance, no spice, some action and thrills, but it does it does have some violence. So, if that's not your kid's thing, you might want to avoid that. So, but yeah, Embassy Row series was pretty good. They all fall down, see how they run, and take the key and lock her up. Then after that, I finished Uncle Tom's Cabin, which was a pre-read for my teen who is a freshman in high school, and I absolutely loved that book. Uncle Tom's Cabin follows several different characters and their life and their stories in both the South and kind of the North during the Civil War times, or prior to the Civil War, really. And it is just she does such a wonderful job of building each character and giving the story and the outline, and just such a beautiful Christian testimony throughout, which is probably why it's not taught in schools anymore. But I absolutely loved that book, and it is now a must read for all of my kids, because I love that she's not overhanded with the Christian morals or anything like that, but it is very in your face. But she shows different aspects of the argument for slavery and against slavery. And so you see kind of both sides of it, and I really appreciate when an author takes that stance. So definitely Uncle Tom's Cabin was all the stars. And then the only other book that I finished was The Book Thief, which was a reread. And Book Thief, if you don't know, is told from the point of view of Death, like he's the narrator. And it follows a young girl during World War II. You start out with the very opening scene is her watching her young brother pass away. She's like 10, I think, at the very beginning. And then you kind of follow her stories through until, I think, it ends. I'm not going to tell you the end. Anyways, but it follows her life as a foster child in this small town in Germany and what all that entails. I absolutely love the story. Way too many swear words. I I don't like swear words. And so that was on there. And so I won't have my children read it. I don't mind if they read it as an adult and they can filter that stuff, but too much swearing. But otherwise, it was a phenomenal read and gives you a good aspect of life from someone not directly in the fight of World War II. You know, she's not hiding Jews. She's not, it, she is hiding a Jew, but, which does happen, but it's not I don't know, it's not an in-your-face Anne Frank kind of World War II. It gives you a little different perspective of that time, and so I really appreciated it. Another book I finished this month was The Nature Fix by Florence Williams, and I don't know what I expected from this. This wasn't what I expected. It was definitely like a 2 or 3 star book. She does a lot of research. She has a lot of information that was interesting, helpful. But honestly, the entire book, all the writing was downgraded. First of all, by an evolutionary stance, because I'm a young earth Christian, so I don't like the evolutionary thing, but I can take it with a grain of salt, you know, and keep reading and look past that. Like, okay, we have different ideas of this. What does it actually say? But she based so many things with no actual, like, explanation of for why it was. That's just the way evolution is. That's just the way it is. That's what we've done for millions of years. And that's not science to me. You got to back that up with some proof. And then also, to downgrade her writing style, she puts so many swear words in there. Like, from a scientific book, from something that's going to tell me about how this affects my body, things like that. If you want me to take you seriously, don't use swear words. Don't litter your book with swear words. Just for kicks and giggles. Just stick to proper writing. I don't know. Maybe that's a holdover from high school, you know, where they say, you know, that's a sign of poor writing. But if you can't come up with better words and you have to rely on swear words, you just lose value in mine. Whether I was a Christian or not, you would lose value because you can do better. You can do better than that. So those are all the books I finished. Books I'm in the middle of, still in the middle of Dune. This was supposed to be my beauty read for Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. Yeah, I did not finish it. It's not that I don't enjoy it. I just didn't pick it up very much this month. It's a hefty book, and I don't know what it is. Like, I like reading big books, but like actually reading big books is kind of heavy, and I don't know, just a pain. Excuse me. I started reading Plotting the Stars series, Ash Garden, in preparation for middle grade March, because I could only find it in digital. And I started reading it, and again, it went down the evolutionary road, which you could look past, but the story just kind of devolved and it wasn't very exciting. I didn't end up finishing it, so that's a DNF, and it's actually part of March. We started Across 5 Aprils as a family read, and that's a reread for me, and I forgot how much I do enjoy that story. I didn't share about Dune. I didn't share about Plotting the Stars, so you'll have to look those up. Sorry. Dune, I give really bad descriptions of this. I enjoy it, but I think if you haven't seen the movie at this point or heard of it, you probably aren't going to pick it up. But it's a sci-fi thriller, and I'm at a part where the young man who the story is all about is trying to find his own and survive with his mother after they've been betrayed, and yeah, just looking forward to the future. It's kind of in the middle. That's probably why I actually not picked up very much, because it's kind of in the middle of things and a little slow spot. But yeah, go watch the movie. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know how it ends, so I can't tell you if it's very close. So far, it's done pretty close to the newer movies. I don't remember the older ones. But yes, so that's Dune. Plotting the Stars is a sci-fi middle grade novel series. And the first one was Moon Garden. I don't remember the second one. And then there's Ash Garden is the third one that came out. And that's part of middle grade March reading. And like I said, I started because I only had a short bit of time for it, and I just couldn't get into it because of the story. Just felt like it was just devolving a little bit. But the first couple books were interesting. It's about a young girl. All these people have like magical powers, and they've left Earth because the plants became hostile and they couldn't survive there. And now they live, in the first book, they live in the moon. Next book, they're on Venus. They live in these settlements that have been created for them, and they all have magical powers. And it's kind of like you pick one particular power, or you have one particular gift towards a certain thing, and you use that. And it was just interesting the way it was kind of developing in the first couple books. And then, I don't know, it kind of has taken a twist in this third book, as I find it does in a lot of books, book series. And so, yeah, that's a DNF for me. And Across 5 Aprils follows a young, I always want to say they're in Kentucky because I feel like they're in Kentucky, but I think they're in Illinois, in southern Illinois, a family right before and during the Civil War. And it follows them as we're reading that as a family, and we're doing it as an audiobook. The reader, my kids are like, he's kind of slow and a bummer, but so we might switch over to actually reading that as a book aloud. But I always remember loving that book, and just because it's Across 5 April, so you see that over the years throughout the war how it impacts their various people in their large family, and the main kid, Jethro. So that's exciting. Another Civil War book I'm reading that is a middle grade, that I am in the middle of for February, is called The War Within by Carol Matas. And this takes a really unique perspective, and I really am enjoying it. It is about a Jewish family living in the South who are well-to-do. They own a store, and there has just been an order by, I can't remember. I want to say it's General Sherman, but where they have been ordered to leave because there was a bad deal done with a Jewish trader, and so he wants all the Jewish people out. And so that's where I'm at in this part. So I'm kind of excited to see from a different perspective, because you don't get a lot of Jewish history in America, even though they are here. And so that's an interesting kind of twist. So I'm hopefully going to finish that here soon. Another book that I am almost finished is Anne of Avonlea, which is from Chantel's A Year of Maud. And that was this particular, for February, is Anne of Avonlea. And then I think, I don't remember which Anne is next. But there's another Anne for March. And I have absolutely loved this one. I absolutely love, so, in Anne of Green Gables, you follow Anne as a child, and all her nuances and funny things that happen. And then in this one, she's a little bit more grown up, but she's still a teenager, so she still makes mistakes. I mean, you start with some funny things about a cow and a neighbor and a misunderstanding, and but what I love is the light that she shows about other children, how they respond, how her and Marilla have changed over time. It's just whimsical and fun and sweet and innocent, and I absolutely adore it. As a mother, I think I read it differently than when I read it as a teenager, and even as I read it a few years ago with my kids, I see it differently now, and just seeing the personalities of the different characters is just really beautiful. And she specifically follows two young boys, and how they're very different, and yet how she loves them both. So and I'm very much the same way. And the little Davy boy just has my heart in this story because he's a little troublemaker, and that's how my son is. So yeah. Books I didn't end up starting that were on my TBR were Endurance. I was going to do a buddy read. Did not get to that. I was going to read For Family's Sake again. Still haven't gotten to that. And Rise of the Wolf, I DNF'd. I love Jennifer Nielsen, and it just wasn't the right time. So Rise of the Wolf is the second installment in that series about a young Roman boy, and I just didn't get to it. Endurance is about Shackleton, I believe. I don't even know. And so I didn't get to that. For Family's Sake is by Susan Macaulay Schaefer, or Schaefer Macaulay. I don't even remember. Susan Schaefer Macaulay. And it's about raising biblical families, and I didn't get to that. However, I don't have it with me. Jennifer Pito's, what is it? Habits for a Sacred Home. I'm almost finished with that, and it is amazing. Absolutely, absolutely amazing. Loving it. I have had to read it slower because it's one of those that you need to take in and pray about, and then just let it kind of live with you for a little bit before you move on to the next topic. But she's basically, throughout the book, Jennifer Pepito is using these stories and biographies of women, Christian women from the past, and showing how they utilize this particular habit in their life, and how that glorified God, and how you can bring glory to your family and lead them in the ways of the Lord. And it's just been amazing. It's also grown my TBR like a lot because she puts book recommendations at the end. She has prayers. She has ways for you to work it out in your family, like to make a family rules list. She has recipes. It's an amazing book. Highly, highly recommended. Audiobook will not do it justice because you're going to want to write down all the quotes. Another book that I DNF'd was Paper Wishes. This was a middle grade World War II book that somebody had recommended. And what do I say about it? So it's about a family that goes to an internment camp from the West Coast. And generally, I love that. Farewell to Manzanar, love. Other books, they're just better written. I've read several. This is very poorly written. Very, very poorly written. The sentences are not strong. They are not well developed. And it would be one thing if you were saying, okay, this is a second language person. And I started reading it thinking, okay, this will be for middle grade. Then I was like, well, maybe it's for elementary school. And I kept reading and reading. I wouldn't even give this to my elementary school kids because some of the sentences are, they're just so simplified. I run toward the water pump where I left mother's bowls. Next sentence. And now I know why I can't hear Eugen yapping anymore. And just like, I don't know. They're just such short, not well thought out, not well written sentences that I don't want my kids wasting their time on that. I'm sure the story is probably beautiful, but I can't get to it because it's so simplified. So I don't recommend this one. And then that brings me to my March TBR. So, which I usually write down and I 100% haven't. My March TBR is what I read and shared in my middle grade March one, and then maybe a few extra middle grades that I'll pick up along the way. But probably not. I am 38 weeks pregnant and I am hoping this baby will come soon and I won't have much time for reading. But until then, I'm going to finish Anne of Avonlea is on my TBR. I'm going to finish The War Within. Hopefully, I'm going to read some more in Doom. I am hoping to continue reading Irina's Children. I actually want to read, this is the student version, so I'm hoping to also get the older one. And then all the middle grade books that I shared in my last video, I'm hoping to tackle for March. And that's my March TBR. Trying to keep it simple because I'm hoping I'll have a newborn. But we'll see. She has to be born sometime this month. So anyways, that's what's going on in this Reading Mama's world for the month of March. What are you reading? Let me know below. I would love to know if you've just found like an amazing middle grade book. Please share it because so far I've had a couple of disappointments with my middle grade March. So thank you so much for watching and have a blessed day.